Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video where I talk about my journeys, my spiritual experiences. And today we are going to talk about my sixth journey. This is part 2. And it took me a while to get this out to you all, and I apologize for that, but I have to be in the right mindset to share these journeys. And the energies lately I just haven't really been feeling it. So today I feel it though, and I was inspired artistically earlier, and the painting that you see in front of you is a representation of this journey. So maybe some foreshadowing. So without further ado, Shamanic Medicine Journey number 6, part 2. So this is the day after the sweat lodge. Pretty much woke up, set up the ceremony and drank the medicine. So the following day I drank the tea, and along with 50 other participants, I immediately, after I drank, I started to meditate, and I was starting to sense the directions of spirit, quotes, spirit. I leave that up to your interpretation on what you think spirit is. I have my own interpretation. I felt the energy from the music flowing through me, and I had brought a maraca given to me by my family. And immediately I took it out of my bag and started to rattle with the music. The rattle sent even more energy through my body, and I could feel pulses of energy coming from the earth up through my spine with every drum beat. My intuition took over, and I felt energy in the form of butterflies. These butterflies were gathering in my belly. For those of you who know chakras, it would be third chakra, sacral chakra area. Or, well, I guess that would be solar plexus, huh? Yeah, you know what? I'm feeling, I guess that would be my second chakra. Anyway, whatever. From my belly. My intuition took over. Wait a minute, I already read that. Okay, around to other, okay. So then I felt the need to blow these butterflies around to other participants and pretty much the whole circle. And so I did. I literally scooped them up out of my belly with my hands and physically blew them away out to the circle. Thinking back, I can see that it was a form of like qigong, if you will, like that same kind of slow movement, but with the intention of spreading these butterflies. So the butterflies kept building up, and I kept dishing them out until suddenly I sensed that I was to keep the last flock of butterflies in my belly. As I kept shaking my maraca to the music, I felt my body shake like a wave of energy was waving through my lower spine to my head. The shaking got more intense, and the maraca felt like it was blasting out more energy. I felt a blockage in my chest build up, but my intuition told me to allow the shaking energy to continue. This was not violently shaking. This was more like dancing through my spine, a pulsing dance through my spine. That's what I wrote down. As the pulse continued, I could feel the blockage moving up my chest, and suddenly I had the urge to purge. I quickly grabbed my bucket and I vomited. I vomited all I could, knowing that I was cleansing and I wanted to be completely clean. I did not want to journey with any negative energy within me. Although I was trying to vomit all I could, only a little vomit was projected into my bucket, and I somehow knew that I needed to cleanse no further. The medicine had done its job and cleaned me out. I knew that it was time for me to lay down and let Pachamama, Mother Earth, take over. When I lay down, I felt light. I felt my vibration raising higher, like I was floating. It felt like I was floating a couple feet off the ground. I saw nothing with my eyes closed. However, when I opened my eyes, I saw these tiny dots zipping across the sky. I often see these dots, but with the medicine, these dots double in number and they zip around faster also. I have no idea what these dots are, but I feel very happy just before I see them. So this was a while ago. I do know what those dots are now, and in time you will find out if you keep listening to my my journeys. I will reveal the dots, the mystery of the dots. Many people see them. You listening right now may see them, you just don't know it, or you're just not calming your mind enough to see them, but they're there. Especially when you look at the sky or a blank background. They almost seem like they're within your own eyes. Anyway, so as I was watching the dots zip around, I found myself staring at the sky in between the tree branches. A violet, magenta, yellowish glow appeared on the edges of the tree leaves. I could see a portal in the form of a painting appear, but it was not strong enough to take full shape yet. It was in between the 3D world and dreamland. I knew I had to take another dose if I wanted to go deeper. I was comfortable at first, and I was just enjoying the minor visuals. I even pondered for a minute whether I should stay at the level or go deeper. I was then reminded of my fourth journey when I did not take the second cup because I was quote-unquote comfortable. And it turned out not to be a pleasant experience. I had to remind myself that more medicine equals or more pleasant journey. I don't necessarily believe that now because I've come to the realization that any amount is just the right amount. I was on this kick of, push yourself to, take more medicine, as much medicine as you can, to get, to raise your vibration higher and higher, and the more medicine, the higher the vibration. And now I've realized that that's not necessarily true. You will vibrate to the level that you will vibrate to. Taking the second or third cup definitely shows courage. It shows that you are trusting the medicine. It shows Mother Earth that you are dedicated. It shows your higher self that you are dedicated. But it's not always necessary, especially if you feel that you have to. Once the moment of I have to do this is not the right attitude, and unfortunately I had the wrong attitude. Also to note, everything I say on all of these videos are just my opinion. I am not speaking any kind of universal truth. I This is my experience, my opinion. You have your experiences, you have your opinions. So, let me share some more. So, I had to remind myself that more medicine equals a more pleasant journey. But with each cup, I am saying to Pachamama, I trust you, so I accepted another cup. When I drank the medicine, I noticed it had some grit in it. It was part of the root that was not fully liquefied yet. It coagulated into a powdery root substance. This is what happens as the medicine gets lower to the bottom of the bottle. I know that it was perfectly normal, but it does make it a little hard to swallow. I imagine it was fairy dust and took the medicine with reverence and honor to have extra root mix. As always, I did feel nauseous and I drank a lot of water to prepare for the purge. I sat up meditating, but yet waiting for the purge to start working its way up. When I felt really nauseous, I got on my hands and knees over my bucket and I leaned forward to vomit, but nothing came out. I waited a little while more and felt my body start to sway a little. I knew from previous experience that this was my body trying to force out the medicine I just drank. That this was not a purge, quote unquote, but my body was trying to take out what it thinks is a toxin. I heard my inner voice say, do you want to spend your whole journey vomiting, or do you want to let go? I had to accept the idea that I was clean, and that I had nothing more Pachamama wanted to cleanse for me that day. So I laid down. The back of my eyelids started to form geometric squares, like a web. At first I thought it was going to be the flower of life, but it became a wall of demon faces. I could hear the others around me having a hard time also. I heard a woman fighting with the volunteers at the bathrooms, which I thought were behind me, and she kept slamming the doors. I also heard the main healer shouting at something to let go, and she was pleading with Pachamama for help. Suddenly I could feel the presence of large concentration of dark energy. I visualized a giant black centipede. It was battling with the lead healer, and she was crying out for Pachamama to give her strength. I could hear the battle going on for a while, then it faded and a man's voice grabbed my attention. This man's voice was pleading with Pachamama. He kept saying, no more medicine, Madre. Then he would say, okay, just a little, and I visualized him as a child version of my ego. He was being held in the arms of Pachamama. She was feeding him a cup of medicine, and it reminded me of a parent getting their stubborn child to take medicine to get better. As a parent, I know that feeling of trying to get my children to see through their fear, to get my children to see that the cough medicine will help them feel better if they would just trust me. I wonder if Pachamama feels the same with humans. She is trying to feed humanity with her medicine to rid us of our insanity, of our greed and hate, but our own fears are preventing us from taking the medicine. It takes a human with a strong inner spirit to force the body to drink. I then heard people walking around and talking. I sat up and I looked around, and I could see that others were sitting up as well. I thought to myself, I guess it's time to get up. Then I felt nauseous, so I laid back down. As I closed my eyes, I drifted off to what I think was sleep. I saw two hallways. One hallway was a Catholic hallway, and it had rows of statues on the sides of saints and knights. I could see that there was light at the end of the hallway, but I did not feel any particular energy coming from it. There was another hallway. This hallway was dark and demonic. It had a demon's face along its walls, and I could not see too far into the hallway, but it had a very dark energy about it. I wanted to be as far away as possible from that hallway. I was at a very uncomfortable fork in the road. On one hand, I had the Catholic religious ideas of the one God and the turning my life over to quote unquote Jesus Christ. On the other hand, I had the hallway of hell and eternal torment. I did not go down the Catholic hall because I didn't buy into the idea of the Catholic religion, and the idea of giving my soul to a god or any deity because of a blood sacrifice did not resonate with me. I've also witnessed firsthand the greedy and hateful actions of the Catholics and Christians which have been committed in the name of their God and the name of Jesus. The division between humanity and that those religions have caused is tremendous. The followers of a righteous deity would not commit those crimes because their love for humanity would stop the individual from acting out of hate. And that's true spirituality. A true spiritual person, a real spiritual person will not, make those acts. They will not commit those crimes. They will not commit those acts, the tree by its fruit, and a true spiritual person, or a person who is honestly on the spiritual path, will refuse to act out of anything but love. And that's a hard lesson. I mean, that's a lesson that I'm, slowly going through now. I have to let go of certain relationships and friendships. And, people that I used to listen to for, teaching. I've witnessed that their fruits are not as pure as I once thought they were. And unfortunately, I need to break off those ties. And, it hurts, but spiritually, it'll help my spiritual walk. It's important to surround yourself with positive energy. And if something doesn't resonate with you, then it's probably not good for you. No matter how much others might say it's good for them, it may not be for you. And that's okay. Okay, so where was I? The division between humanity of those religions have caused is tremendous. The followers of righteous deities would not commit those crimes because their love for humanity would stop the individual from acting out of hate. I've seen the priests and pastors practice quote-unquote black magic by convincing the masses to go to war, to sacrifice the lives of their children for corporate interests, and to discriminate against those who do not share their beliefs. To convince the masses to pay for their propaganda machine through tithes and offering, quote-unquote, while they hide their quote-unquote true knowledge of our past in the Vatican vaults. I have personally witnessed small community churches slowly become corrupted by Christian pastors and elders to the point of them becoming churches that only serve themselves and abandon the community which helped them build in the name of God and quote-unquote Jesus Christ. I wanted nothing to do with those religious beliefs. I believe the health of a tree can be judged by its fruit. In my experience of over 20 years of Christianity, I have seen that the fruit of that religion is rotten. And I'm talking about fundamental Christianity. I'm not talking about, more spiritual Christianity, like, if you have a relationship with Jesus, that's fine. If you have a relationship with Mary, Joseph, Archangel Michael, that's fine. I've met many people that have had direct experience with those beings, and that's fine. Just like I've met people that have direct experience with Ra and the deity Isis and Osiris, and the Egyptian deities, and Krishna and Shiva on the Hindu side. I've met people that have had direct experience with I can't remember the original Buddha's name, but pretty much the stereotypical Buddha, Dharma, I think it is. Is it Dharma? I can't remember the first Buddha's name. Nanda. And that's and that's all great, but the difference between the direct experience with working in these beings and following the laws of a religious order are two different things. One is spirituality, one is religion. I like the spirituality part of it. I don't like the religion. So I know there are very spiritual Christians out there, and that's fine. Christ is within. I believe the Christ consciousness is within me, within you, within everybody. And I believe that the spiritual walk is to find that and to know that which is within. And that, to me, is true Christianity. Not these religious beliefs and rules that some book made by man has. And I could go into a whole nother video on, the Council of Nicaea and the, Emperor Constantine, and just how the whole Bible was created, and so on and so forth. But I won't do that in this video. So I will move on. So there I was at the fork in the road, and I did not want to walk down any of those hallways. I did not know what to do at this point, and I kept hearing the man moaning and groaning, and I felt like I was losing it, like I was losing my mind. I kept getting the idea that everyone in the ceremony who drinks this medicine is driving themselves crazy, and that I was going to go crazy with them. I had the idea that quote-unquote crazy people, which society has abandoned, are those that went on this dangerous path. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be on the spiritual path anymore, and I wanted to get out of the experience. I wanted to wake up. I was disappointed to see that those were my only two options, and for some reason I did not feel like turning around. I felt like I was losing my mind. I suddenly heard a woman's voice that said, "Hold on to the light in your heart." And immediately I felt a gust of wind blowing over me as I saw a green, glowing stream surrounding me with a loving, energetic feeling. It was leading me to the right, and I felt like this was my third option. It felt very loving and warm. It felt right. Just to follow this glowing stream of loving energy felt like the right thing to do. I felt like this was the other earth realm. The realm of the fairies and the animal spirit guides. The realms of the butterflies. And I felt like this was where to go. This is where I was accepted. And this is where I was to go to accept my metamorphosis. I drifted further and further down this loving green stream when I heard a man and a woman start to cry. They were crying out. I wasn't sure why they were crying. Are they crying for me? Have I been deceived? I thought. I knew this was my ego mind thinking, so I ignored it. Then I heard another man's voice shout, "Light!" I did not know why he would be shouting light towards me. Am I being deceived into darkness? I thought. Is everyone could see that but me? Can everybody see that but me? I thought. Still knowing it was my ego mind trying to trick me, I kept flowing down the stream. The man then started shouting, "There were signs." As he said that, I saw wooden signs on the side of the streams saying heaven and pointing the opposite direction that I was flowing. I thought that I was weird. Not I. I thought that was weird, but I kept flowing down the stream anyway. It just felt so good, and then I did not want to turn around. The man then started to say, "He slid down." So, like, literally, he was like, "He slid down. Sorry, guys. He slid down." Like, I tried, but there's no bringing him back, right? This is what I was thinking. This is what I was hearing, and this is what I was thinking. And yes, a man was literally saying this. This is why it's important to have noble silence in a ceremony. The idea came to mind that I was dying, and that was the voice of the man trying to resuscitate me. I told myself that it was my imagination, so to ignore it and to keep drifting. Then he started to say, "Sorry guys, he slid down," and shouting, "Light!" and repeating, "I'm sorry guys, there were signs." And I was frightened at this point, and I could feel the flowing of the stream slow down. I then heard another man from across the room shouting, "Hey!" like really loud, like shouting. And then I heard footsteps walking around me and what felt like fans waving over me. I convinced myself that I was being resuscitated and I needed to wake up. I thought that the healers and the shamans were surrounding me and trying to get me up. The man shouted, "Hey!" again, and this time my eyes popped open and I sat up with a jolt. I saw that everyone in the circle was staring at me. Literally, everybody was staring at me. The man who was shouting had his arms raised in the air and was looking at me. As soon as they saw I was up, they all started cracking up laughing. It was a pleasant laughter, like they were happy to see me back. However, nobody was fanning me and nobody was hovering over me. The main healers were far away, but still looking at me. I stayed sitting up, but could feel myself drifting back to quote-unquote sleep. It was hard to keep my eyes open. I looked around and saw that the healers in particular were paying extra attention to me with worried looks on their faces. One healer in particular did not take her eyes off of me. It was like she knew I was flowing down the stream still. I looked to my left, and the guy next to me reached to give me a fist bump. But then when he looked at my face, he brought his hand back and shook his head, "Nah." A look of disappointment came over his face, like he knew I did not finish my journey. I laid back down and listened to the music. I felt my body drifting down the stream again, but the same series of events happened with the crying and shouting and resuscitation ideas. I came out again and drifted back to sleep about 3 more times. The music eventually changed to a faster beat. People started dancing, and I heard the healers clapping and shouting. I felt the need to get up and dance also. I started out dancing, but my feet started to move on their own, and I was running in place. So, yeah, this was odd. Yeah, like dancing wasn't enough. Like I really needed to get my body moving, and I just felt like running in place, like full on jogging in place. And I don't know, like I almost like felt like you know how kids just randomly do that, like little boys will just randomly just like run in place and like just act silly, you know. That's kind of what I felt like. I thought it was like the funniest thing just to run in place, and others were like laughing at me too, which you know is totally cool. I mean, I probably would have laughed at myself too. In fact, I was laughing at myself, but I was it was wonderful just to run in place. Okay, so where was I? So eventually dancing stopped and the food was brought out. And as the ceremony came to a close, followed by a sharing circle where we all talked about our journeys. One thing to note is also when when they were like you know starting to like slow down or something, um, you know like the dancing stopped or whatever. It was like some I heard someone say like you know let's have a dance off or something, right? And I was like, oh hey yeah, that'd be an awesome idea, let's have a dance off. And then like the people next to me heard me and they were like, yeah, let's have a dance off, you go you know. And then it was like, okay, cool, all right, who wants to go first? And then the healer was like, you go first. And I was like, I go first. And then he's like, yes, you always go first. I was like, okay. But then I was like, I also realized that like you know it wasn't the time to dance, and that you know I'd be like you know it would be a show, you know, and I wasn't necessarily comfortable to like put on a dancing show, so to speak. I don't know. I mean, I was coming down from medicine. You know, we're all goofy at this time, and it's okay. We're all in a safe environment to goof around. That's what the circles, you know. Not to say the circles for goofing around. The shamanic journey is not for goofing around. But when you're coming down from the medicine, you've already had your journey. You know, it's okay to you know joke around and you know be playful. That's okay. And there's not many places where we can do that, you know, and I cherish that. I like that. We can just goof around, you know, after our journeys. It's great. So, needless to say, there was no dance off. We just laughed it off and we ate food. So, okay. Oh, yeah, and I talk about it a little bit. So, yeah, the dancing stopped. The food was brought out as the ceremony came to a close, following by a sharing circle. So, we had a sharing circle and we talked about our journeys. Although I tried to pay attention, I was still in the other realm. It was like I was present in both realms at the same time. I wonder if this is the shamanic state, I asked myself. After eating, I joined in another sweat ceremony. I prayed for everything in my journey. I prayed for the guidance and assurance that I'm on the correct path. I prayed for my family and all my ancestors, thanking them for their guidance and their love. I had one vision in the ceremony. I saw what looked like a sundial, and the hand on the dial was speeding around and around. The sundial became a butterfly, and then it faded away. And this was during the sweat lodge. We had a sweat lodge after the ayahuasca ceremony, which was which is pretty rare because we don't really have that too often, to be honest. All right, so that will conclude Shamanic Medicine Journey number 6, part 2. There is a part 3. This was a busy weekend, but I will have to save that for another video. And that will be my journey with Sapito. My first journey with Sapito. And boy, was it something. Wow, okay. So that is my journey. If you guys feel like commenting, please do so. Do not hesitate to comment. Please leave a comment. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And subscribe to find out, when I have more videos. And to listen to those also. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you got something out of this. And I just want to remind you that with every journey, with every meditation, with every medicinal journey, with every yoga session, any kind of spiritual path, remember to ground to Mother Earth before you do any kind of journey. You need to ground. Peace be with you all.